Yeah, that was right. Yeah, get out there in his spacesuit, polishing it up, keep it in good condition. Oh dear, dear, dear.
The thing I'm really looking forward to seeing how it works, because I don't think this has happened in any other space sim game yet,
Yeah.
is the reputation system for the spaceship.
Mm.
Not for you, for the spaceship.
Yeah, yeah.
You sell the spaceship and the reputation goes with that ship.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, actually. Yeah, and see, what sort of value would that ship have by having a certain reputation associated with it? That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm intrigued on that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why. I mean, I think you've seen it now anyway. The thread I put up for naming my ship, because I have no idea what to name my ship. I'm useless at that kind of thing.
Without specifying one in particular, are there any that have caught your eye that you kind of like the look of and you'd like to win, or do you not want to say because it might influence the poll?
I have got a favourite, but I think you're right. I think I won't say anything in case it does influence the poll. But yeah, I have got a favourite at the moment, which is particularly good. But there are a lot of good suggestions, just goes to show the community is a lot more creative than I am when it comes to that sort of thing. You know, when they first mentioned it was like, oh, you can name your ship, and I was thinking, well, I've never had to do that before. So, what do I do? It? You know, I could have had silly little pet names for my ship, but nothing ever serious. You know, obviously when you're playing it single player, you can call it what you like. But you know, when it's going to be visible to a lot of people, I think, oh Christ, you know, I'm going to pick something which is distinctive and it's going to stand out, but doesn't sound completely stupid. So.
Well, I made a suggestion, but I think some of the others are better than my suggestion. My suggestion's more along the sensible lines, but some of them are nice and silly.
Yeah, I do like that. I think that's kind of my sort of dap as well, is the kind of a bit daft kind of hints at things. I do like that sort of those sort of names.
The problem with coming in on a thread like that, where you're trying to submit something creative, is thinking up something no one else has thought up at that point.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the problem with a lot of the threads. Actually, is you step in, you have a look at it, and you think, oh my god! And there's been so many things posted up on there prior to that. Trying to catch up with it is a nightmare. And you know, in the very early days in the forum, I was going through every single page of every single new thread that popped up on there, and making sure that if I was going to post something up on there, it was going to be something worthwhile. And it's not been mentioned before, but now it's virtually impossible. There's just so many threads, and they're being replied to so frequently that you can't keep track of it all. It's just insane. And kudos to the guys at Frontier for doing it. Really, I mean, particularly with the threads related to the DDF and whatnot, you know, they do read every single thread and every single suggestion on there, so fair play to them. That's a task I wouldn't want to do myself.
Completely agree.
I'm going to have to go to Sol, aren't I? I don't want to, but I'm going to have to go. So I have actually turned the music off, which you can probably notice on here, because with...
I can't, because all I can hear is you on a Skype.
Oh, of course, yeah, because you.
But everyone else.
Yeah, everyone's got zero background music, and the reason why I've done that is because of YouTube's fantastic new Content ID system, which is wonderful. It picks up tiny little fragments of music and tries to slam you with the ban hammer, which happened on virtually all of my early videos that I archived off to YouTube back in I think like episode 5, 6, and you know, some of the really, really early ones. Every single one of them got flagged up as having copyright infringement on the Blue Danube, which is like
were they picking up the music from in Frontier Elite 2, or were they picking up the music that you were playing separately?
Both. Yeah.
Right, well, if it's the in-game music, you can tell YouTube you have copyright permission.
And that's
you do.
Yeah. Oh, smuggling goods. Damn. I just got... Whoops. Yes. On the subject of illegal things, I'll pay the fine off. Whatever. No, yeah, it pissed me off a little bit because I was looking, I was thinking, oh god, but then the onus is on you now. This whole content ID system, the onus is on you. You have to prove that you have copyright. You have an agreement with the copyright holder to actually share that information. So,
Right.
with the later stuff I put on, in order to put the monetization things on there, I have to be ready to provide proof that Frontier don't mind me displaying Elite Dangerous and things like that. It's really, really frustrating. That's the way this new content ID system is. They're pushing all the onus on you as the publisher of the content to go and do all the legwork, which is incredibly annoying, and it's just going to make everyone not want to publish content. You know, it's a really, really frustrating thing.
Yeah.
But, hey, you can. It's just.
It's one of these things made by managing decision made by managing directors in a boardroom that sounds good on paper, but then when they implement it, before they realise it, it kills their whole business model, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly where they are now. It's beyond the joke now. It's ridiculous. You're having a lot of people, you know, legit people that have been posting YouTube videos for a long time and have been doing all their own content. They're all getting flagged by this system as well. They keep getting notifications. You know, do you have the copyright for this? It's like, yes, I bloody well produced the video. Of course, I have the copyright for it. But you know, it flags up regardless, and you have to. You know, you have to go and prove that yes, you are, and you know, I'm not doing it legally, and it's such an annoying thing. So I've had some real issues trying to archive these videos off, and just makes me.
The great thing about the internet is there are other video channels out there, like Daily Motion, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, either YouTube change their policies back to be more uploader friendly, or people will just upload to a different site.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's, you know, if I do continue to have issues with it, then I will be downloading them all separately and archiving them off somewhere else, because it's beyond the joke when when your own content that you've put together is, you know, gets flagged as copyright infringement. It's like, well, you haven't even done anything. It's so frustrating because, you know, it's like you're getting slammed for something which, you know, you're not trying to break any kind of laws. You're not like downloading stuff illegally, but you're getting hammered, and it's kind of frustrating because it's like, you know, with the case of the Blue Danube, you know, if anything, if people hear it, they might decide, oh, I really do like that song and I should go get it, and they might decide to go buy a CD. So, you know, it's ironically, it's like they're just shooting themselves in the foot, because most people, you know, it's raising awareness of your own product. You know what I mean? But no, they'd rather hit you with a band hammer.
The thing about the Blue Danube and all classical music is the piece itself doesn't have copyright. It's who plays it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this was the problem, is the performance piece I was using was so similar to this other piece which had been registered in the content ID system that it flagged it up. And I said, well, of course it's going to sound similar. It's the same sounds, the same instrument, the same arrangement, basically. You're going to get some sort of percentage match. And it is a fuzzy match, so it doesn't have to be an exact thing, because they scan all of the audio. So if it's a background piece as well, it can be picked up. I mean, my neighbour could be playing it through the window, and if my sound levels were good enough to pick it up, that could get a hit on their content system. That's how ridiculous it is. You know, it doesn't have to be a 100% match.
Or if I started humming it, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it would, you know, it would pick up the frequencies, and it would decide that, oh yeah, that's close enough to this thing for me to turn around and slam this person for it. And that's how it works at the moment. And it is really frustrating. I mean, I don't care about my videos having any sort of advertising revenue. I don't think they will have any worthwhile advertising profit coming in on them. I don't know what sort of levels you'd have to get in order for them to get there. Probably thousands and thousands of views, which I just don't foresee getting. I mean, most of the people that do view these videos are viewing them live. You know, that's kind of the point, really. I'm just archiving them up in there because paranoid about things like that. That's just the developer in me. But no, I mean, if anything, I might make a few cents for it. And I've already agreed with the guys at Frontier. They said, if I do ever get to the point where I'm making any sort of advertising revenue on this, they've agreed that they don't have an issue with me doing it. And I said to them, quite happily, anything I do get off these videos, I would put into the fund for Elite Dangerous. I've got no issue with that at all. But I don't see myself getting any sort of any reasonable amount of money from these videos at all. It's not the purpose of it at all. But to have something like that, which is like, I'm not doing it to generate profit. I'm not trying to scam anyone out of their own things that they've made. I'm really not trying to do any of that at all. But then to still get slammed with this ban hammer effectively, because it's like, oh, you were, like you said, humming a tune which someone else owns. It's frustrating. But that's just the world we live in today, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm not going to start talking about copyright, because I could fill hours and hours of stream talking about copyright.
Yeah, no, I understand. It frustrates the hell out of me as well. It is really, really irritating thing that we have to deal with these days. Oh, misjump, drive destroyed, and I'm only a couple of light years away from Bernard's star.
I mean, I used to stream music for people.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is you're streaming copyrighted music, but you're not a big commercial radio station. You're not making any money from streaming this music, but you're still breaching copyright.
Yeah, and it's frustrating as well. So when you look at like the small print on a lot of these things, it's like DVDs. Not you cannot perform any sort of public performance of it or anything like that. You've basically got the license to view it in your own home and all that. And it's like, where do you draw the line with that? I mean, do you call a public performance? It's like, if you invite some of your friends around, how many friends until it becomes a copyright infringement? That sort of thing. It can get really, really ridiculous. It's just one of those.
The thing with DVDs people don't realise is you're not even supposed to sell that DVD on.
Yes, yeah, and that's the case with a lot of things like that. And you can see, with games as well. Everything these days with a lot of the next gen consoles and whatnot. All this kind of DRM fiasco that kicked in about not being able to resell the games and everything like that. It's a bit of a sad state to be in, really, that you can't even, once you own that thing, you don't really own that thing. You've just got a license to temporarily use it until they say you're not allowed to use it anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sad state of affairs when you think about it. It's like it's so easy and cheap for these manufacturers to give this stuff away these days. A lot of stuff is digital, it has such value, and it's quite easy for a lot of these companies to just copy them up. It costs them no money at all to host these things on web services and whatnot. They can make such a ridiculous profit over traditional means of distribution, and yet they want to make even more, and they give you even less of any leeway on it. It's just insane. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I think he must have had a naval missile then, because my ECM didn't actually get rid of that missile. Oh, if I survive this trip, it'll be a miracle. You see the indicator up in the screen yet of the...
Oh yes, it's just come up 2.6%. You've just paid to repair your hull from...
I guess I won't be getting any sort of bonuses for looking after this ship. One insanely dangerous owner. Resale value wouldn't be very good on this one, I must admit.
It's only done 1,500 light years.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Just go around, kick the landing gear. Yeah, seems all right.
Hello, Commander Wet.
Hi, greetings, Commander. We're going old school tonight, as it's our end of year show. We've gone back to where it all began, just for a bit of fun. There we go. I caught that missile. Whoosh! That was close.
You had a Spectrum, ZX Spectrum, didn't you, Kerrash?
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah. Do you remember school days?
Oh, absolutely, yes. How many lines did you do? Brilliant game. I love that. I know they did. They did, didn't they? It was Rockstar that tried to do something for us. It was Bully, wasn't it? They tried to do
Yes.
very similar sort of
Yes.
theme.
I haven't tried that game, I have to admit.
I had a look at.
I
some
was
of the-
told about it. I was told about it because I think Psycho Cow mentioned it, and I just suddenly went, "Why doesn't someone remake School Days?" And then someone went, "Well, someone did. Here's
and
the
it
link."
was- yeah, and it's like it's awful, and you always find that, don't you? You can still play School Days. It's an excellent game, you know. Age has no meaning when it comes to games. I actually survived.
It wasn't a big, long, side-scrolling game
Mm.
that had 3 lives. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like Elite. That was an open world. It wasn't like that. It was just this small play area,
Yes.
basic 2D graphics, but boy, was it so engrossing.
It was one of those games you can just sit and play for hours and hours, and there was a lot of good games like that on the Spectrum back in the days. Oh, what was another one I used to like?
I'll just do a quick explanation of what you had to do for those who are not familiar with this game. You were a boy in school, and the idea was for you to get out of the school. So you had to attend lessons, you had to find the birth date of the history teacher, write that on the blackboard, and then you got out of school. And if you weren't careful, the first years would come along and beat you up. You had a catapult. You could fire your catapult at other teachers and pupils. And you got into fights. I mean,
Brilliant.
for 1985 on the ZX Spectrum, it was a brilliant game.
Oh dear, wasn't there. There was some sort of. There was even a mechanic in there where if you used your catapult, but it hit a teacher, and then you had another student in the way, that student would get the blame. You can get it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, for like an 80s game, it's like it was really quite detailed. The gameplay in it was
Yeah.
really quite good.
Well, you had school. You had tests, didn't you? You had to get the
Yeah.
answer right on the tests.
Yeah, and there's like the bell went. You had to get to the classroom, didn't you? You had to get into the classroom and sit down and find your seat and everything like
Yeah.
that. And I mean, the first time I ever played it, I didn't understand any of those mechanics whatsoever, and I never understood why I just like kept ending up getting detention and having to write all these lines out. I was thinking, well, I wasn't doing anything wrong, and it was the fact that I wasn't actually in class, you know, doing anything. I was just kind of wandering around the school aimlessly, thinking, "What am I supposed to do?" You know, and it's like a lot of games back in the day. There, I mean, I was same with Elite. Really, I was kind of too young to play a lot of these games, but I gave it my best shot anyway. I wanted to know how to do these games. So, brilliant! I still love those. I think I better service my ship on this stop. I've encouraged Stigran to give it a go.
Well, Stigran still lives in 1982. He's probably still got it.
Yeah, for someone who's currently in the future, he lives a lot in the past as well.
Yeah.
I swear, he must drive a DeLorean.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that was my Christmas present. I got myself. Well, I didn't get myself. I suggested and hinted a lot at the wife, and I've received the special edition Lego Kuso Back to the Future set,
All right.
which is awesome. Have you seen the Lego Kuso?
No.
No, I haven't heard of it. It's C.
I've seen the Back to the Future Lego.
Well, it's actually it was, I think, the fourth set, because I got one of the first ones as well. Was a Minecraft set, which was quite good actually, a little Minecraft Lego
Right.
set, and it comes from a there's this website, Lego Kuso, and it's kind of like a Kickstarter type idea where people can put up their own suggestions for a Lego set, and people can vote
Oh,
for
I
them.
have seen that
Yes,
website.
yeah, and if they get to 10,000 votes or whatever, then Lego will seriously consider it as a
Yeah.
possible set in the future. And it's fantastic because there's so many great ideas that people are putting up on there.
Yeah.
And I would love to have all of them, but it's obviously Lego isn't cheap. But this was one that particularly caught my eye. I thought it was brilliant, and it's quite a good little set really because you've got the parts that you can swap on and off for all different varieties. You can have the original 1985 model. The wheels actually rotate, so you can have the 2015 model where the wheels hover underneath, and it's got little stands
Yeah.
for it to hover on. It's got the little Mr. Fusion in the back as well that you can you can clip on in the big wooden box you can put on the bonnet with the 1955 components for the patch job
Yeah.
that the doc did and all that, which is a brilliant little set actually. Quite pleased with that.
I've long had an ambition to make a Lego Johnny 5.
Oh, that would be excellent. I
You
mean,
need to buy 2 Mindstorms kits to do it though.
yes, because you can have the eyes and everything. Oh, that would be brilliant. Yes, I'd love to see that. Apparently, we won't believe what kind of car Stigran has.
Dare I click on it?
If he really has got a DeLorean, then I am just gonna laugh my ass off at it.
I saw a snapshot of video. It was like, this is what's coming up later on the program the other night, of someone with a DeLorean they've converted into a hovercraft.
Oh, excellent.
On water.
Yes, I think I've seen some images of that. Brilliant. Oh, excellent! Yeah, I'm familiar with that car. Yeah, it does remind me of a DeLorean, the shape of it, and it is a 1980s car. So, okay, we've got that. We've got that tow settee. Let's jump to tow settee then. I did service it, didn't I?
You did. I heard you say it.
Okay. Well, I might have said it. I might, I've been thinking about it. But, whether I did it or not, I don't know. Seems to be taking a heck of a long time to get here. Did I not put autopilot? Yeah, I'm getting there. More attention required. Oh, I see what's happened. Huh. There we go. I forgot to refuel. Never mind.
Dear.
That's another thing I found actually digging around in the files. Actually, it was a whole set of mechanics related to refueling different engine types and whatnot as well. There was class 1 to 7 hyperdrive was mentioned in the files, so they're obviously thinking of a very familiar system for the engine types that we can have for Elite Dangerous. So. Nope. There we go.
Stigron's saying in the chat it would cost him over 30,000 Australian dollars to turn his 1983 Trans Am into Knight Rider. I'm thinking $30,000 for a set of running LEDs and a custom dash.
You had to have the whole voice thing as well, don't you? That's yeah, that does seem like a heck of a lot of money to do all that.
Then he mentions he found a DeLorean, but no one will insure DeLoreans where he is.
Aww. That's no good.
So I said, well, don't drive it. Just turn it into Back to the Future DeLorean and tour with him.
Yeah, exactly. Just take it on trailer somewhere.
Put it on a trailer.
They were notoriously bad cars, though, to be fair. I think, did they have something like, it was all aluminium construction, aluminium engine block and everything like that, so they weren't particularly good cars, generally. So...
Stigron's now correcting me on the cost of the 1983 Trans Am to turn it into Knight Rider.
Ah, right.
So I apologise, Stigron. Sorry.
Oh, dear. Yeah, I'm sure the LEDs themselves are the least of the worries, really, isn't it? It's all the it is quite a bit different, really, when you think it's all the different shapes of the body parts and whatnot. So I imagine there is quite a bit you'd have to actually physically get to make it look the same. To do a proper conversion, that is.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of a club for converting DeLoreans into the Back to the Future DeLorean. There's a club for it.
I've seen a few of them done, actually. They've been at local shows and whatnot.
I think someone has a list of all the exact specific parts and model of that part you need to get to make it authentic.
It seems like a heck of a lot of effort to me.
It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
It costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the R2-D2 Builders Club?
No.
They were at a show showing off their R2-D2 they built, and who walks past them? Only J.J. Abrams and yeah?
Brilliant.
So jokingly they go, oh well, we'll build R2-D2 for you for the film if you want. And then a couple of days later, Kathleen Kennedy phones them back up. So there's a couple of guys from the R2-D2 Builders Club building R2-D2 for the film.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and it's like, good on you guys.
Brilliant. Well, I suppose that's the thing, though. In a lot of ways, the fans would probably put more effort into getting it right than someone doing it from scratch, sort of thing, for the film. Oh dear. I suppose that. Oh dear. If I did win the lottery, that would be the one car I would get. That was a DeLorean. No other reason.
Well, you just reminded me. I bought a lottery lucky tonight. I might be sat here a millionaire and not know it.
To me, rabbit on, Have any military missions here at all? Damn. I think I might actually give that that game ago now. If I can remember what it was called. What did they call it? Lunar Flight, wasn't it? Let me just try and get that set up, and I'll try it with the Rift because I haven't actually even played it yet. I bought it and I haven't even had a chance to play it, so I'll give it a quick go. Let me just switch.
Sticker on his saying full-sized TARDIS.
Weird. Is that full size on the inside or the outside?
Yeah, good question.
Right. Oh, there we go. Let's get this set up to... Oh no, that really isn't right. There we go. Come on, come on. Coax this thing into working at 1080p on the Rift is not always easy. There we go. Excellent. Lunar Flight. The first time I've given this a go, actually. We're going to get the volume right as well. Excellent. So I've heard a lot about this game, but I haven't actually had a chance to even try it yet, so I'm going to suck majorly at it.
What controller are you using? Because it says press something to start.
Press A, yeah, so it's... I've seen it played on the... what's it called? The Xbox 360 controller. That seems to be the preferred control method. And I think actually your character in the game does actually have the little controller sat on his lap. So it's optimized specifically for that sort of thing. Right, I'm going to have to duplicate my displays. This is a pain with the Rift at the moment. It doesn't particularly work well in some situations. The odd thing is a lot of the documentation you read for the Rift, it suggests having the Rift set up to duplicate your display, so you see the same thing on your desktop as you do in the Rift. So when you're switching games, you can see whether or not it's working correctly, even without the Rift plugged in. But for some reason, Elite Dangerous, they've actually gone the opposite way, and they've made it so it works as an extended desktop window, so it works as a secondary monitor. I don't know why they've done that. I assume it's easier for them currently in development mode. They can have multiple monitors set up running different things and debug and whatnot, and there must be a reason for it themselves, but at the moment it doesn't work particularly well in the typical setup that you have. Okay, let's give this a go then.
Nate Hound put a link to the DeLorean Motor Company website in the chat.
Excellent.
And I've clicked on a website. Pre-owned DeLoreans currently for sale. There's one at $54,000.
My word. Wow.
The rest are all inquire. Oh, 32.5 and 31.5.
Excellent.
So if you've got about $32,000 to spare and you want a DeLorean,
well, you can get one. Right, let's get myself suited and booted for this. go. Now that is an odd sensation. Fortunately, my Xbox controller seems to be refusing to work in that particular setup. Let me try it somewhere else. You always notice when I've got the Rift on, or as I'm trying to put the Rift on, you'll see the view wandering around wildly. So I don't know how well it's coming across in the stream actually, but this was one of the things I mentioned at Elite Meet to someone, was the idea of this kind of contextual control, where depending on which part of your environment you stare at, you get this little Y button pop up above it here.
Right.
You know, so you don't have to have many buttons set up and configured to many different things. You can just literally stare around, point at that particular, or look at that particular part of the environment, and activating that will allow you to...
I have to go AFK a minute, Kerrash.
Okay,
sorry.
yeah, no problem. Go on.
I will unplug my microphone.
Okay, no problem. That's not what we want. There we go. Let's see if we can get this up now. Right, this is the problem of having so many different control mechanisms in here. Reset that. And back now. Rightio. Wow, people still support vertex shaders. Vertex lighting, that is. Okie dokie. Okay, sorry, looks like I'm gonna have to set up all of the controls because none of them are picking up for some reason. Oh, and that is a really frustrating way of doing it, is why every single button is manually coming up with a confirmation dialog. Okay. Might just have to try and do this with the keys because for some reason the controller is really sucking. There we go. So we can get a little way with it. idea how to activate this. How do I... Ooh. Okay. Recover settings. Settings. So I don't seem to have any... Nope, 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 none of these are working. This is not a successful test so far. I may have to, yeah. Oh, different views. Oh, that is very weird. That's a weird thing. So I know a lot of people have been asking about having a third-person view on Elite Dangerous, actually. I don't know whether that would be a comfortable thing in the Rift. I mean, yeah, it's fair enough, just on a regular monitor, but this is a very, very odd sensation now. It's just going to be sat floating a few meters above the ship there. There's got to be something I'm missing. Maybe there is a button to launch. Thrust up keyboard space. What else do we need to know, really? No, no, we really cannot get this to work no matter what. Well, that's a shame. That's a shame. I was looking forward to doing that. I'll have to play around with that offline, I think, and then give it a go another time. That really isn't working as well as I'd hope. Never mind. Hey, greetings, Commander.
And what did I miss?
Not a great deal. I could not get that to work properly with the control scheme, so I think there's something wrong with that. Either I've got too many things plugged in here, or I have some sort of issue with it.
You've broken it already?
I've broken it already. Yes, that's what I'm good at. It's breaking these things. But now, for some reason, I can't get the control system working on that, so it's just wasn't working. But there we go. So we'll go back to something much more worthwhile. Just after I managed to figure out how to get the name to change on the Twitch channel, and I'm going to just change it straight back. I will play around with that offline, actually, and get it working properly.
Right.
Sticker in there. Oh, more Elite Dangerous. Yeah, one could say I'm kind of addicted to it, you know. Okay, now... Yep, I'm going to have to reset all my controls on this because I just unplugged it and plugged it back in, so... Yay! Oh no! No! Too many control mechanisms. I did want to test all these out for Frontier and make sure they all worked correctly, but suffice to say, plugging in every USB device you have and trying to use them all at once for the same thing doesn't work.
Stigron's urging you to do school days.
I could try. I don't think that one's going to be on the list for Twitch to stream, is it? I would be very shocked if it is. No, my throttle is stuck on full for some reason. What on earth have I done? In the process of switching it over, I have completely broken my entire system, it seems. I have no flight control. Keyboard's responding. Mouse is working correctly, but I have no control with the flight stick whatsoever. I have broken it. I've well and truly broken it.
You've broken your X52.
I've broken my computer full stop, I think. All these USB cables hanging out the back here is just not working. No, it's all lit up fine. It's I think it's responding and everything, but I've just I think I've severely confused my computer with you know, I've got the 360 controller hanging out and the this plugged in and several other things plugged in, and yeah, it doesn't like me right now. Let's try that again. Yeah, so I just have to get the C64 emulator up and working. Yay, here we go. I've got flight control again. Excellent. Whee! So yeah, I did get Commander Shorty to play this for a short while the other day, and as much as she thoroughly enjoyed it and didn't want to leave, she also absolutely outright refused to allow me to stream her playing it, so... Bless her, I think she was a little bit shy.
I think it's I think it's tactical. I think she doesn't want people to realise how good she is until she's blown them up.
I'll tell her that. I think she'd be pleased with that. That's the excuse she'll go with until it's released.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, where on earth did I put that? There we go, engine boost. I still have not found button 31 on this X52. It's ridiculous. There's so many buttons. I don't know where to start. So many buttons on it. Obviously, it must have been in an intuitive place for the Frontier guys that set it up. I think Mike Evans himself set it up, didn't he? So it was obviously in a good place for him. I honestly don't even know which button it correlates to. It's just too. There's too many buttons on here. I mean, oh, geez, I can't even count them. What have we got? We got basically on the left-hand thing. You got the throttle here. You got effectively under your middle finger. You've got a mouse wheel that you can scroll up and down and click. You've then got under your left-hand index finger. You've got a digital POV hat, which gives you your you've got your lateral motion, so the up, down, left, right strafing effectively. You've then got the big E button on the top, which has got its own little rotational element as well. You can rotate it around 360. My word. D button underneath your thumb there. You've got a slider, another rotational button, a mini mouse further down from that, and obviously the throttle goes back and forward as well, which is handy. And then you've got two other buttons at the bottom here, which I'm assuming are mainly for controlling the little digital panel on that, and that's just the left-hand side. There's just too many buttons. I'm getting used to it slowly, though. I've reconfigured a few from the default configuration, just because I like the boost being more accessible, because it does come in handy in some of the combat.
I mean, my Mad Catz has got 11 physical buttons and a shift button, so effectively it's got 22 buttons.
Ah, yeah. So you can put it to. I know what you mean. But this, I don't know how many buttons this has by default. I'd have to sit and count them all. But it has a mode toggle as well for 3 different modes. So effectively, you can triple the number of inputs on here, because you can switch into 3 different modes as well, which is insane. I haven't used that at all on anything yet. Might be effective in a...
Do you not think it could be too complicated?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit, yeah. I think it does actually come with the rudders as well. You can get rudders attachment for it. It's like, oh my word. I'm not going
I think someone's mentioned getting rudder pedals for it.
it just seems too much for me. Way too many inputs.
Oh, I have to admit, I'm happy with my Mad Cats.
Yeah, I mean, there's some nice sticks you can get out there. Actually, this one is complete overkill for a lot of things. It has been very well set up and configured for this alpha. I will give them that, but you don't really need full access to all of these things all of the time. You know, I can imagine a lot of things could be emulated with a nice kind of, you know, just having a mode in it. You know, I mean, the flight stick at the moment is great for combat, but if you were just docking, perhaps, then you might want to toggle it to a different mode. Or landing on a pad or something, you might want to switch it to a different mode so it controls lateral thrust directly with the stick instead of what it's doing now. But yeah, it's a nice stick, very nice stick, massively complicated. But ramming speed. That worked. Didn't intend it to do that, but it worked. Stigren really wants me to stream School Days. I will do it at some point. I think with the issues I've been having with the other games I've been trying to set up tonight, I don't think I can actually get another thing set up quite smoothly at the moment. So I think I'll when I'm offline, I'll go test it out, make sure I can get the emulator working correctly, and get the sound levels and everything working on the stream, and then I will give it a go. But as it stands at the moment, I'm making a pig's ear out of trying to switch things. So I'll try and keep it simple. So here actually, and this is what I was talking about, this particular scenario, we've got the burst laser.
Right.
I'll just try and demonstrate it. It's
Oh
got
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3
That one's
sort of
got
thing.
like a rotating barrel.
Yes, yeah, on the end, yeah. And it's got this kind of momentary pulls in between the burst. Boom. Yeah, that missile didn't do him any favours at all. Yeah, I mean, I kind of favour this. You kind of got the, you know, you have to be a bit more precise with it, like with, you know, the old school pulse laser, because you can't just score it across the surface of a ship and hope for the best. You know, you have to be a bit more tactful with it, but at the same time, you get a couple of shots across a bow, so it's kind of a nice in-between ground. And, you know, when I'm playing a lot of first-person shooters, that is my kind of preferred mode for a lot of weapons, is burst. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, thank you there, Fiery Toad on the chat there. The total number of programmable commands for the X52 Pro is 282. Oh, my word. Yeah, I would struggle to remember that. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I did find
How
actually...
many keys are there on a keyboard?
This is like 108, I think, on an average keyboard. There's something in that sort of region. So yeah.
Find every key on the keyboard to the X53.
Different action. It is insane. That sounds like a fun challenge. I wonder if I could set up a different command to a letter and everything on the keyboard, and then I could sit there and try and type with the X52. just out of sadism, you know, just to, you know, cause myself severe issues. So I don't know whether that's apparent actually in the screen that just come across there. Sorry to interject there, but the Cobra started firing at me at a much longer range than they used to. I think that's one of the things they tweaked for the 1.1 alpha to try and stop this reverse tactic. Before they didn't seem to be firing till they got up into the you know, 2.2, 2.4 kilometers away.
Yeah.
But Whoops,
Going
whoops,
back
whoops.
to you typing on the X52, you should be able to do it because stenographers use about 5 keys.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah, give it a go. Sounds like a challenge. We'll have to try that. It'd be great fun. Boom! Sorry.
Fire Toad has just posted something on the chat for you. You
Oh,
might
okay.
want to read about the X52.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So there's 23 buttons in total, 3 8-way hat switches, 7 control axis, and it gives you 47 basic commands plus the control axis. It's insane. It's got everything in the kitchen sink. Yes, and I've got the little utility running in the sys tray as well. So you've got programmable buttons that you can map and everything as well. Which is ridiculous. So many options. Yeah, and that's how you use the 3-way mode switch. So you set it up to map to different presses and everything. Stigrin's playing School Days now then. So it just goes to show, you know, the old games are still just as viable today. Still just as much fun. Come on. You're gonna get you. Boom, 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 boom. Just stay well out of that Cobra's range, doesn't need to know.
Nothing to see here. Move along.
Wasn't me, they must have just hit an asteroid or something. Boom, 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 boom.
Karakino is saying in the chat, I thought to buy a joystick, but I fear it will take too long to configure properly. I think that for the moment I'll stay with keyboard and mouse for a while. And I've just commented that people will post their joystick configurations in the forum. Yeah,
absolutely. And like I said, you know, every time I've spoken about it on here, the configuration that Mike Evans has put in by default actually works really, really well. And I haven't actually changed much at all, really. I think like 2 buttons was the only thing I've changed, mainly because I don't think by default there's an option to turn flight assist off on with the stick. And I could not find one of the buttons for the boost, so that's the only reason I've changed anything. But the built-in configurations they've already done for a lot of popular sticks are very good, so you might not need to change anything, to be fair.
Kerrash, what have you done to the resolution? Because on the loading screen the text was off the bottom of the stream window.
Let me just check. Might have been because I kept doing all the switching and whatnot, so... Okay, we have lost some of the... Yeah, I see what you mean. We have cropped it slightly. Let's drop it down and back again. This is one of the issues I found. You keep switching around and changing the feed up and everything like that. You start to have issues with the resolution not properly rendering. I think what happened there, it went into like a 4:3 ratio, and we lost some of the stuff on the bottom there. Come on. Well, what on earth is going on here? Why have I lost some of the... There we go. I have sorted it now. I should come back up in a second to get the whole bottom section in there. So I think I was trying to get both of the streams, both of the games working at the same time earlier on. It didn't like me at all doing that, so hopefully that should be better now.
Yeah, that's better.
Cool, excellent.
Can even see the little band-aid on the left-hand side.
Yeah, little piece of duct tape or whatever it is. Excellent. See if we can get these, get the attention of these ones. Come on. Come on, we got you, come on, yeah. Boom, 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 boom. See if I can actually survive this mission with both of my wingmen intact, which never seems to work. So I can definitely see how working cooperatively with someone, you could actually, do quite well in a scenario like this, because
Yeah.
like this, the one that I'm shooting at the moment is chasing after one of my wingmen. My wingman's chasing after one of his colleagues, and because I'm picking out the other target, it's actually working quite well for him, because he's unable to focus on taking out my other wingman. So I think in that sort of situation, those sorts of things would work quite well. But for the most part, one-on-one, what am I trying to say, 1-on-3 or something like that sort of thing. It's like you are really kind of outgunned in a situation like that, and
Yeah.
I'd really like to see some sort of good tactics that would deal with that sort of situation. I don't know what would work well. Right, let's take out that anaconda. So I do want to get in there and get more involved. You can see my wingmen are just kind of rushing in now, taking out that damn beam laser.
That hated beam laser.
I was going to say, the only thing worse than a beam laser is a turreted beam laser.
And the only thing worse than a turreted beam laser is two turreted beam lasers.
Yeah, or a turreted railgun, which I'm pretty sure that's what that was in the video, actually, because I know that in the Damocles video there was a lot of debate about what that big blue flashy weapon was, because people were saying it's a plasma accelerator, but I think it's pretty much, without a doubt, it looks like it's a railgun of some sort. So, and I just flew into the gaping maw of the anaconda. Never mind.
I hope that when we do eventually encounter the Thargoids in Elite Dangerous, I hope it's one of those things that'll happen where you will just literally crap your pants.
I assume
Because
so. Yeah.
for me, in Elite, I encountered Thargoids once in the original Elite on the C64, and it was scary. I had 2 motherships, and I don't know how many little Thargons flying around, and I managed to destroy 1 mothership.
Oh right.
Yeah, but then I got killed. But what I'm saying is it happens in Elite, and you think, oh, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're thinking to yourself, I am screwed.
Yeah. It is a butt clenching moment, so to speak. Yeah.
And you didn't have that in Frontier Elite 2.
No, there was nothing like that at all, was there?
You kind of had it in First Encounters, but I won't spoil it at all for you. The Thargoids were in First Encounters,
Yeah.
but I never encountered them. And I just hope that in Elite Dangerous, sooner or later we're going to encounter Thargoids. We know it.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I just hope when it happens, it's one of those I am screwed moments.
Yeah, I think they should be really, really powerful foes. I mean, I kind of liken them to the Borg in Star Trek. It is that kind of like ultimate oh crap moment when you see them appear in front of you. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping they are going to be that sort of scary. I don't know how they're going to come back now, obviously, whereas we thought we got rid of them, but they're still out there.
Well, I'm going to go spoiler now, aren't I?
Ah, go ahead,
In First Encounters, you help the Thargoids and you make an
pact,
alliance with them.
Yeah.
A pact. So I'm just wondering what happens to screw that up.
It's going to be some interesting stuff. Hopefully it's not too cliched though. We'll see. That's one of the things with a lot of sci-fi things. You end up in that kind of like typical sort of resolution to that sort of thing, don't you? It's like, you know. Don't rotate over, you bastard. Whoa, 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 whoa. Boom.
Here it comes.
Yeah, get through there in a second now. Yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to get more into it rather than just sitting off and reversing and picking them off from a distance. I just want to try and do something a little different. Yeah, that didn't work at all. Kamikaze! There's gotta be a way I can get through. So it's just that incursion mission, that's the one which I've been... Because if you do the old reverse tactic and just pick them off one by one, the incursion mission's actually relatively simple. But actually, trying to get yourself in the middle of that combat and not get shot at is where it starts getting a bit hair-raising, to say the least. See, I'd be interested to see how the old piracy mechanic is going to work, you know, because we've had the discussion on the forums about you having to declare your intention to perform piracy on a particular target.
Yeah.
I wonder, you know, if anyone's even going to bother using that. It's just so easy to just dive in and just start shooting at things. It's like, are you really going to sit there and want to kind of say, oh yes, I just want your cargo, you know, you're really going to have that kind of I don't know what you would call that, a kind of like good nature almost, isn't it? It's the wrong situation to use it in, but yes, oh, I just want your cargo, sir.
Oh, hello, I'm going to attack you now.
Yeah, it's like, it just seems very counterintuitive. I mean, I'll be interested to see how that's going to work. Come on, there you are.
Have they fixed bounty hunting?
Fixed it in what way? What do you mean?
There was a flaw in what they were proposing for the bounty hunting. I think it was something along the lines of if you went after someone with a price on their head and you didn't kill them, it affected your reputation in a negative way.
Oh, right. No, I wasn't.
And I've seen it discussed on the forum. And remember, I'm not in the DDF.
No,
but I've seen it discussed on the forum that, well, if you're a bounty hunter and you don't kill them, it shouldn't affect your rep negatively.
Yeah, seems a bit unfair, doesn't it? You failed the mission. That's bad enough anyway. You haven't got the reward for completing the mission, so why should you then be punished in addition to that as well?
Or was it that you just come across someone and they've got a price on their head?
Well, rather, because
you can't then attack them, because if you then attack them, you then become a pirate.
Because you've just decided to start attacking them without them actually having a bounty available.
To be a bounty hunter, you've got to go and get the contract
to start,
and then go and find the person, and then attack them and kill them.
Right, rather than just deciding that, I'm going to attack this guy.
Yeah, go back to where you got the contract from to collect the reward and the boost to your reputation.
Yeah.
If you just come across someone with a price on their head, you can't just attack.
I suppose that kind of makes sense in one way, is like whether or not you would know that a particular person has a bounty on their head. I mean, would you?
Well, wouldn't it be broadcast on all channels, like an all points bulletin?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, it depends whether you want to enable that sort of like vigilante style culture in the people in the game. I suppose, you know, would you want people to just randomly decide they're going to be a bounty hunter, or would you want people to more kind of like declare it? And it's like, well, if you're going to be a bounty hunter, you know, we'll allow you to do it, but you've got to kind of work within these kind of confines of the law, sort of thing. We'll give you a contract to go do it, sort of thing. So I suppose it's a slightly more kind of controlled way of allowing you to do it, rather than just you going out one day and it's like, yeah, I'm going to be a bounty hunter. You know, it's like,
well, why not? That's how it worked in Elite and Frontier Elite and Frontier First Encounters.
Well, yeah.
Most of the time, you didn't even know the other ship had a price on their head. You killed them, and it suddenly came up. You've been paid 20 credits.
Yeah. But I think that's a lot of that's down to the fact that, you know, the technology of setting up a whole kind of system back then, it wouldn't have been possible to do it, but now it's possible to have a more realistic kind of political background to the whole simulation and everything. So rather than it just be a point system, which was effectively what the bounty was in the earlier games, it's just a way of you associating a score with taking out that person in different amounts of score based on a higher bounty and whatnot. Now you can actually have a realistic reason for these particular people having a bounty, and you know, you effectively having a full mission system set up to pick them up in the first, rather than just kind of randomly spawning sort of thing. And you know, because I mean, saying that, you know, yes, in the earlier games you didn't have an idea that someone had a bounty. You also didn't know if they were completely innocent, you know. So the only reason you knew that they were worth shooting at was because they were immediately hostile to you. But but you can have a lot more interesting gameplay elements now in the background simulation of this as a modern game, because you could have people with a bounty on their head that would effectively act passive and neutral and wouldn't be an aggressive target to begin with, but then would start. You'd have to, if you found out they had a bounty on their head, then you could start attacking them, and then you could pick them off, sort of thing. So I think there's a lot more scope for interesting gameplay elements, which would be more realistic in terms of bounty hunting and whatnot. So I don't think it's going to be entirely broken. I think it's just going to take a bit of getting used to, because it's not going to be like the old systems, I think.
Yeah.
I think they've kind of hinted at some of that with even like the basic things on here, like the scanners being able to have neutral targets, and then they flash up red when they're hostile targets. I think they've kind of hinted at this idea that there could be many different variations of people that you can see around in an area. You're not just going to be going into an area and it's like, oh, random pirate's going to be jumping at you. There could be a lot of different targets you see around. You could go into a pirate system, because we've seen the whole pirate base kind of idea that's been discussed. So the question is like, in the original game, there's no way you'd get anywhere near a pirate because they'd blow you up. But if you're in a system with a pirate base, then they're going to need to be neutral to you initially if you're near that pirate base. So I think they've tried to be a bit more realistic in the scope of this version. So.
It's like with a lot of things to do with Elite Dangerous, we're just waiting to see how it works.
Yeah, that is the problem. Is we don't know enough about it yet to make any comments on it. But from what we've seen in the alpha, we can kind of make take a few subtle hints from it, and kind of guess at where they're going with it. It definitely looks like they're on track to make a very interesting, complicated set of gameplay rules, out of what they've got now. So it's going to be interesting to see. Wait.
Hello, Commander Drop Bear.
Greetings, Commander. Never guess what I'm playing.
Kerbal.
Kerbal, it's Kerbal Space Program. Kerbal's got a lot more violence suddenly.
I still can't believe you built that big hamster wheel.
And it actually worked. I got centripetal motion out of it. Excellent. Actually worked properly. Oh, wait.
Are you leaning?
I am leaning in my chair, yeah, subtly as I'm doing this. I think it's like used to having the rift on my head. I feel like it would help.
Ooh. You better not read the chat.
Oh, what have I done? I will in a second. Now that you've specifically said that, I will. It's like saying, don't press the big red button. What's Kerrash gonna do? I'm gonna press the big red button. Sorry,
Oh, I don't think you like Drop Bear now.
I'm intrigued now. There we go. I'm gonna have to check this now. Drop Bear. Right, what have I missed? Thought it was Pong. Yeah, it's everything's derivative of that, so fiery toad there. How is the Rift? Does it work well? It's fantastic. I love it. I love it. I wish I could share it with everyone. It's fantastic. There's no easy way of doing it. I might not have actually seen it with the Rift on. I could put the Rift on for a while if everyone wants to have a look at that. Should I put the Rift on? Let's give it a go. I'm not gonna read any more chat now. I'm gonna put the Rift on for a few minutes. No, I didn't want to help. There we go.
Well, if they've got anything they want to say about you, now is the time to start typing it in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I take the headphones off my head. So.
School days with the Rift.
I was saying that, I mean, it does sound like a silly thing, but I did see that there's this really interesting little platformer that someone's making for the Oculus Rift with very old school 8-bit style graphics, but it's done in such a way that it's like it's printed on a cylinder that you're sat in the middle of, and you can look around to see the platforms that you're about to reach, and up above to see the platforms above you and things like that. It's a really, really subtle effect, but it works so well.
Right. I was just thinking, what someone should do, is make school days in a school. You know how you get the kids' game shows?
Yeah.
Let me put that the other way round. Game shows for kids. They could do that with school days.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be excellent.
So if there's any TV producers out there, I am unemployed, I am looking for work, I'm willing to work on development of this TV programme. You just blooming muted me, didn't you?
I was trying to move the headphones around, that was the... It's so tricky trying to switch from one to the other.
Oh.
There we go, now I can see what I'm doing again. Okay. Oculus Rift mode. Let's switch it over. There we go! Dual screens. We love those dual screens. Okay. Let's go back to the very beginning. Yeah, there's a little bit of a pain switching from one thing to the other. It gets a little bit tedious to get that set up each time.
I think I'm going to have to get the money together for a projector.
Yeah, that would be
so
that'd be
envious
really nice,
of Psycho Cow with the projector.
Yeah. That was very nice when he did come and get that all set up for us at Elite Meet. That was... it did look really nice actually with the track IR and everything in there. It was it was an impressive setup, I must admit.
Because I put it on a stand behind my chair.
Yeah.
And I've got a white wall in front of me.
Oh right,
So
excellent.
So it'd be quite handy. Or failing that, I could put a big white screen up where my desk is.
Yeah.
Because I used to have a nice big monitor. Something like 1922-inch diagonal on the screen.
Yes.
Lovely big monitor. And then one day it wouldn't turn on.
Oh no.
So now I'm stuck with this 15-inch thing, and it's tiny and I hate it.
Yeah, I used to have a really nice, I think it was a 22-inch CRT. Ridiculous. It was at like a 2048 by 1536 resolution, absolutely massive. And you know, these flat screens come along and everyone was going on about how great 1080p was, and I was thinking, what? Is that all? Ah, frustrating.
I hate my monitor because it's restricting the resolution I can have. I can have two resolutions, 800 by 600
Oh,
or
right.
1048 by 768, I think it is.
Yeah.
And all my icons on my desktop are huge.
Yeah, it's no good, is it? Not that
I
resolution.
hate it.
Yeah.
I literally cannot change the resolution to anything more than the 1048.
It's just annoying.
Even in computer games, I can't do it.
Yeah, it's probably the absolute maximum that the control circuitry allows you to set on the back of the board, on the back of the LCD. Pain in the ass. So, like I said, I mean, before I decided to buy the Rift, I was very tempted to set up a three-way monitor deal and use it that way. But I just realised it was so expensive. So damn expensive to have a three-way monitor set up. I mean, really nice, you know, if you've got a dedicated room for it and you could set it up nicely. But no, it's just crazy expensive. And then, you know, the Rift being about £200, it was a bit of a no-brainer, really.
Yeah.
And it's so much better than having something like a triple monitor setup.
Well, eventually I'm going to get myself a bigger monitor, a new bigger monitor, and I'll have this horrible small monitor as like the second monitor where you have like the desktop while you're playing a computer game.
Yeah, it's very handy. I mean, I do try and argue the toss with my managers, but yeah, it is incredibly effective having an extra monitor for a few things like that, for a lot of things, not just work, but also for gaming as well. Of course, the problem, I mean, the way the Rift works is it acts like a secondary monitor anyway, really. You're just plugging it in and away you go. It just you just drag your game window onto the Rift window and monitor instead of the regular monitor. And that's effectively how this is working now. So that's why it takes me a little bit of jiggery pokery, because I have to make sure the Elite window goes over onto the second monitor, so to speak.
So with the Rift, is it graphic user interface?
What, when the game's playing, you mean?
No, when you plug it in and you want to assign something to it, is it graphic user interface?
Well,
or
I mean,
do you have to know programming code, C++, for example,
what, in
to
order
get it to work?
well, no, I mean, it, like I say, you just plug it in like a monitor. I mean, for the average consumer, there'd be no setup at all, really. You just plug it in like a second monitor. You know, so as long... But to make a game for it, it is a little bit more involved. You have to kind of do...
Well, I didn't mean make a game for it. I meant make a game work with it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple of steps you have to do on it. I mean, the first thing, obviously, you have to render two views instead of one, which is what everyone's seeing in the stream now. You see the left and right eye independently. So you have to change your game so that it can render those two things. That's why it's not something which you can just buy and any old game out there is just not going to support it out of the box. You can't just you know, start playing Quake 1, for example, because hey, it's a 3D game, and start rendering it on the Rift. It won't work like that. And in fact, if you did try to put something like, you know, the Windows desktop over on the Rift, it just doesn't look right. You see like one half of the screen going in your left eye and the other half of the screen going in the other eye, and it's very wrong. It doesn't seem right at all. you can't see anything at all. So you really have to have something rendering the eyes correctly in order to use it. You can't just have your Windows desktop displayed on the Rift. It just won't work. You won't see it clearly at all. It won't render properly for you to be able to do anything useful with it. Just pulling off some acrobatics there. There we go. Whee! It's so much fun. Go on.
We have
Sorry.
a question from Greg.
Oh, yep. Go ahead.
What spec PC are you running?
Oh, currently I've got a quad-core i7. I've only got 6 gig of RAM in here, unfortunately, which I could do with some more. But the main and most important thing is I'm running the GTX 760 2 gig, which is more than enough to play this right now. It's running really, really well for me. I've got no issues with frame rate or anything. So, where'd he go? Where'd he go? See, now I can arch my neck around the room and it actually works. It's funny, you get used to doing silly things like that, and it's, you know, suddenly when you've got the Rift on, it actually works. It's like you know, when you were a child sort of thing with Mario, and you're kind of like sat there in your seat, like jumping in your seat, trying to get Mario to jump higher and stuff like that. It's like, you know, in this day and age of things like the Kinect and everything like that, it's like now with this thing, it actually works. You know, you actually do this crazy, you know.
I remember leaning when playing Gran Turismo on a PS2. And you're moving the controller in the air while you're at it as well.
Yeah, trying to get
it to turn faster.
Hey, as long as you feel like it's working better, that's all that counts.
So do you have plans to get the Omni as well then?
I wouldn't mind it, but I feel like it's a heck of a lot of money for not a lot. Do you know what I mean? It's basically just a stationary platform, so it's kind of like something like the Wii Fit. I kind of see it akin to that. Great for first-person shooters, great for that sort of experience. Really, really realistic kind of experience for that sort of thing. But for something like this, no. Yeah, you just wouldn't use it. It's just not really any use at all. So, and I you know, I don't want to play them down, because I mean I appreciate what the guys are doing, but it didn't impress me as much as some other things I've seen. I will be honest. It did look like immense fun, and I would love to get one just to play with it, but no, it just doesn't seem like the sort of thing I would be interested in having, to be fair. Plus I'm having too much fun with Elite, so I'll quite happily glue myself to the chair from now on.
The thing is, the Omni is really for games like Call of Duty and that are first-person run-around shoot-'em-up games.
Yes, exactly. It's a very, very incredibly specific interface. You know, it's the best one you could possibly have for that sort of gameplay, but it's very, very specific to first-person shooters and nothing else. You can't really do anything else with it, which is, when you look at it, you know, it's like what people have been saying about the Rift and everything. The best experiences in it are sat in a cockpit. Why is that? It's not because of the Rift itself, it's because you tend to be sat at your PC, so if you're in a game experience which matches that same sensation of being sat at the PC, then it's the best, most immersive experience. That's just the way it works. Your body doesn't have to be fooled anymore, because you do feel like right now I feel like I'm sat in a chair inside a spaceship sort of thing. You know, that's how it comes across. But you know, when you're in something like the Omni, then yeah, I imagine it would be a lot more immersive, a lot more enjoyable to play a first-person shooter actually standing up, holding something which feels like a gun in your hand. It would definitely feel a lot better experience. So yeah, it really is. It's the combination of everything. It's not just the sense of sight anymore. It's the kind of the feeling of it as well. You know what I mean? It's a lot more involved these days.
I mean, as I've mentioned, I play a game called Mist Online Uru Live, and that's basically either a first or a third person game where you have an avatar that you can have in first or third, and you go around solving puzzles. And this was made about getting on for 14 years ago now, this game.
Yeah.
And someone has got an Oculus Rift dev kit, and they're converting the game to work with Oculus Rift.
Excellent.
And bear in mind, the game was never designed for it.
Yeah, and there are quite a few good ports that people are doing right now, actually, of things over to the Rift. So yeah, I mean that would be That'd be
And,
good to
and,
see.
and this Mist Onliner Alive would be perfect with a Rift and an Omni.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's
because
exactly what it is. It's
you're walking around an environment, looking at things, and yeah, and that's like I said, that is where something like this comes into its own, is where the analogy of how you're currently experiencing the real world, it kind of blends over into that virtual environment that you're experiencing in there. If the sensation of feeling matches that as well as the visual experience does, it's a really, really eerie feeling. You can't explain it. I wish I could explain it a little bit better than that. But when it all just meshes together, it just feels right, and it's very, very, very odd. You really do feel like you're in a completely different environment, and you're just kind of not even aware of what's happening outside of the experience you're in. It's very, very strange.
I wish I'd had a go at the Dune buggy or the plane demo you had at Elite Me.
Oh,
I only did the house.
Yeah, because that was just walking around inside the house. But yeah, definitely something where you were War Thunder, for example. That was a really good one because they've added Rift support for that, and that was the one I was demoing on the X52 flight stick, and that was great inside the Rift. I must admit, that was the first time I tried it out, and I showed it to a few friends here at home, and it was like, yeah, this is where this comes into its own. It's like, yeah, this is how you should play something like this. It was such a natural experience, so immersive, because you felt like you were actually sat in a seat doing that sort of thing. It was fantastic. Really, really good experience.
Boom!
Yeah, just caught up. That was me chopsing away, not paying any attention to what I was doing. There we go. Oh, anaglyph. No, I'll go get the red and blue glasses out. Alright, let's pop that off there a second, and I'll move it over again, so I can see what I'm doing.
Now, we've tried the 3D before.
The red and blue, yeah, and I think a lot of people have commented that it's just not working for them quite right, and I think a lot of that's just down to the way that anaglyph works. It's not a particularly good way of seeing the world, sort of thing, in 3D. It doesn't work particularly great for a lot of people. What did I do to fix this last time? Because I've now got the same issue again. Here we go. My word, I think oh Jesus, yes, we have come up to over 3 hours on the stream now.
Yeah.
3.5 hours. I think I better cut it there, and hopefully I can edit that all together very nicely now. Ooh, that's the fun part now. All the hard work that comes after trying to get it all edited. Okay, so the usual outro as it is. Thank you very much for everyone watching. Thank you, Alien, for helping me out tonight.
Thank you for streaming to all of us.
Yeah, no problem at all. I enjoy doing it. So hopefully next week, fingers crossed, I think Frontier are all going to be back in the offices, so we might have some more interesting news. Maybe 1.2. Go on, please, Frontier, please. Yes, we've all had Christmas now. Come on, come back, come back. Give us something fun to watch. So Lord knows what we're going to see in the next instalment of the alpha. I wouldn't even like to speculate, but I'm sure it's going to be great. So there we go. So as always, please tune in again next time. Comments and suggestions are always welcome, and I'll try and show what you want. So thank you very much for watching. See you next time.